Welcome to the Sports Card Lessons Podcast. I'm your host, Big Ken. Whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on a streaming service, please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you'll be notified whenever I drop any new content. Welcome. Thanks for being here. How is everyone doing? Happy Sunday. Man, when I tell you this joyful hobby road I've been driving down for such a long time, bringing nothing but positivity to you week after week here on the pod, just seemed like it was going to be my new norm. Like I was never going to see any potholes on this road. I've lulled myself into this. Everything is great, everything is wonderful. But reality hit this weekend. And not only a hobby pothole, it was like the bridge is out and I just kept going. Two shows, Saturday and Sunday, both disasters. It was almost as if whatever could go wrong went wrong. And I guess like I shouldn't be so upset to get it all out of the way at once, right? One weekend it was complete disaster and move on from it, right? That instead of this, spacing it out over different weekends, right? If it's all going to happen, just let it all happen at once. And as much as I thought, oh, that's it, things are going to be better now, the hits just kept on coming. My first show on Saturday, the Titan Card Show in Yorktown Heights, New York. This is the third time I've done the show. The first time that show was horrible. The second time the show was great. And this is the third time doing this. So, I'm sure it's a hit or miss show, and depending on the time of year and the season and this, that, whatever's going on. But I do want to say up front, sometimes when a show doesn't go well, you can find places to put blame, right? You could say, well, it's this, or it's this person's fault, or that, or they should have done this, right? But this particular show, I want to start off by saying there was really no one to put any blame on anything for this show. It was just a comedy of errors, right? Things that just happen. I mean, things that are going to happen, but these things just all happened in one show, right? The second show, I'll do a little finger pointing on Sunday, but the first show, I think the promoter did everything he could for it to be successful. Got there Saturday morning, set up right next to Bill and Billy Sports Cards. And before we jump into it, I want to give a huge shout out to my man, Jonathan, Homer Sports Cards. Highlight of the day. Before we get into anything negative, I'm going to start with the highlight of the day. Not only seeing him at the show, but getting a deal done on a card that I've been looking for. And it is the Brian Thomas Jr. Optic Preview Red Pandora. It's a PSA 10. If you're on YouTube, I'm holding it up. I'm getting that set. I talked about this set a number of times, how I just think that they're probably going to be, because they were the Costco exclusives, I think those cards are going to be more rare and scarce at some point. There's no shortage of 10s. I think those cards grade very well. And I'm just trying to build the set. All the quarterback, and when I say the set, I want all the quarterbacks, all the wide receivers. I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing. And that was one wide receiver I needed. Shout out to him. Shout out to Jonathan. Super excited to have that card. And it was great seeing him. I know he lived pretty close by to that show. So the last time we were at the show, I didn't think we had like that great of a location, but it was okay. This time we moved to the complete opposite side. We had a different, and I thought it was a decent location. And this show, I think it's a gym. This show is in a gym, right? Decent location in the gym. No, there's Wi-Fi in the building, but no one had the password for the Wi-Fi. Uh, and that particular side of the gym has no cell phone service for AT&T. And yours truly, after 28 years with Verizon, this past week switched my service to AT&T. Um, and there's nothing worse than being at a show and having no cell phone service. Not only to sell cards, but to buy cards too. And I walked around that building trying to find anything that showed a password for the Wi-Fi that was there, but couldn't find anything. Nobody had it. So starting the day on the struggle bus. I'd bought some new recording equipment that I brought with me that I was going to test out at the show. And after I got there and started setting it up, I realized that my existing microphones, the connection was not compatible with my new iPad. So I just bought a converter to go from the lightning port to the USB-C so I could get this plugged in. So I went out to the parking lot. I get on Amazon. I find it. Same day delivery. Perfect. Send it. So, okay, I can't test out the equipment today, but I have another show tomorrow. I could bring the equipment tomorrow and test it out. So that's okay. Put the equipment back in. I figured, I'd be able to, what I usually do at shows is I bring my iPad, and if there's no cell phone service, I'll put my hotspot on my phone on and just use the iPad. But since I had no service, all of it was useless. So I just shut that stuff down, put it in the car. That's how my day started there. It was sunny. It was Saturday. It was 84 degrees outside, and it was hot in that gym. The foot traffic was pretty light the whole day. I did notice probably 12:30 kids starting to come in with their like baseball uniforms on, right? So, I mean, I'm sure, and I talked about this in another podcast. I'm sure, it's the time of year where, these kids got all these activities going on outside, and it's going to interfere with coming to card shows, right? So these card shows that have been super busy, like since Thanksgiving, are starting to slow down a bit. And I'm sure it has a lot to do with, what people have going on in their life. And the most people that were there walking the show, you could tell they were expecting to buy things way below comps. I mean, it was one of those days where people were offering you 65 or 70% on your cards. They were, pulling out their phone and searching for the lowest last sale they could possibly find and say, "Oh, look, there's the last sale." But when you tried to buy one of their cards, they're like, "Oh, geez, I need to be. This is where I need to be." And you're looking it up, and you're like, "You're over comps. You're at 110%. So you want me to sell you my cards at 65 or 70%, but you want me to buy your cards at 100 or over 100%." And I'm not talking about just people walking the show. There's dealers too. I mean, this is one of those shows that's not that busy, so there's other dealers, shopping around the whole time too. So many people coming to the table with boxes of singles and top loaders. So much. I've never seen so much Donruss optic football singles in my life. I mean, just person after person would just buy, and not even show. I'm like, most people have like a Zion case or this or that. Some people are just walking up with like a shoebox just full of these singles. And people just buying the optic blasters and the optic megas. What a genius move for Panini to put the Uptowns as an insert in these boxes, because everybody's thinking they're getting case hits. They're opening these things up, and they are. I think there's even more downtowns in there too, because I'm next to a guy on my left side who's sitting there telling people his story. "Oh, I opened 6 boxes last night. I got 3 downtowns and 4 uptowns and six optic blasters." And I've heard this story at one after another, people coming in. I don't even think the downtowns and those optic blasters are case hits because there's just way too many being pulled. And everybody thinks they're getting case hits. And they're all saying, man, these boxes are loaded. Just keep buying more, keep buying more. And you can't buy them online. You can't buy them in stores, right? And the resellers at the shows, there's like 40% markup on these boxes. And people are just spending so much more money on wax on these boxes than they are on actual cards, and all these cards they're pulling out. I mean, and I'm talking about like the Jaden Daniels, the Prism, the hollows, right? And the Drake May and the Bonet, the hollows, which everybody was like, oh, if it's this Prism on the back. No, I mean, these cards are all in stacks. Just buy, getting rid of them all. I just want that money so I could go back and buy more boxes and hope to get a downtown or an uptown. And personally, I'm not interested in buying those singles. But there were plenty of other dealers in that room that I watched buy stacks of these at ridiculously low prices. So the seller, whoever's selling them, could just buy more wax. I know my guy Bill next to me is selling wax, and they were just coming and buying the wax the whole day. You'd see people sell their cards and just come back and buy some more wax. Just crazy with those boxes. And I mean, I personally have a feeling the market is just going to tank out, fall out the bottom with so many of these cards being pulled. The uptowns, the downtowns. We'll see. We'll have to wait to see what happens. But I'm a little worried what's going to happen with that over the next month or two. Because it doesn't seem to be any shortage on these boxes. They just keep showing up. This show started at 9. And I will say I did not bring my singles boxes. It was they were 6-foot tables. I only had one table. So I had my singles boxes in the car, but I did not bring them in. I just set up a case, put a buying sign up. I was hoping that I would be able to do a little buying at this show. So the show started at 9. I had my first sale and my only sale at 12:06 p.m. And I looked at because I said, this is my first sale of the day. And it was for $60. FYI, the table cost $70. So one sale all day, $60. And I had such crazy situations at this show. As I said, I didn't have cell phone service. I was borrowing Bill's phone. Bill had Verizon. So when I could, I'd say, hey, can I borrow your phone to look this up or look that up? And I know a lot of values on the card. So I didn't want to be, commandeering his phone for every single transaction I was doing. If I knew I could be within $5 or $10 on car, I'm fine with that. I had a kid come up to the table, show me some cards. I pulled out a couple cards. The first card I knew was like a $30 to $40 card. I didn't know exactly. And I asked, what do you want for it? And he pulls on his phone and he shows me his phone. He said, hey, the last sale was $36. And I have to be right there, he said. I said, okay. There was a couple other cards there. I said, okay, let's call that 40 then. Now, he said 36 he needed to be at. I'm giving him $4 more on the card. I said, we'll call it 40. I went to pick up the second card and he said, 40? He said, no, I can't be at 40. I said, you just told me you were at 36 and I'm literally paying you $4 more than you just asked for the card. He says, no, I want to get 60 for that card. I said, did you not just say to me you needed to be at 36? He said, yes. I said, but now you have to be at 36? Why would I pay 60 when you just showed me the sale was $36? He goes, I don't know. That's what I need to get for the card. I'm like, okay, thanks for stopping. Have a nice day. Twice during the day, I made offers on 2 separate cards with 2 separate people, paying pretty strong. And both times we didn't get the deal done because they came back. They wanted more money. I said, it doesn't make sense for me to buy it at that price. I'm right here next to Bill. I mean, right here. He's right here next to me. He's the next table where our stuff is almost looks like we're one table. They lay the cards out on his table. He makes the same exact offer for the card that I just made, and then they sell the card to him. I'm like, well, what just happened? How did that even make any sense? And one of the cards I offered $90 on. He ended up selling the bill for $80, which I thought there must be something in the air. There must be something I'm doing. Like I no idea what is going on here. And I'm thinking, like I'm critiquing myself, like I'm going back through this whole conversations that I'm having with people, and think like, am I rubbing them the wrong way? I mean, what is going what is going on here? Um, so basically, Bill bought the card and sold them to me at the same price. So still having trouble figuring that out. And I had a similar situation happen today at the show, which at today's show, which I'll talk about a little bit later. But this has never happened, like not so close in proximity happened to me before. I could see me making an offer and then people moving on, and then other people offering the same amount, and then somebody being like, well, okay, yeah, I'll sell because that's the best I'm going to get. I've been there. I've seen other people do that too. I understand that, but not like, hey, I'll offer you 90. I need 100. No, 90. I mean, I'm firm at 90. 95? No, I'm at 90. Okay, thanks. The next table, 80. Okay, I'll take it. I'm like, I don't know how that happens, but um, so I'm at the show, right? I mean, this is what I'm saying. I can't sell. I can't buy. I can't record. I have I have no service, no cell service. If I if I go walk outside, my phone blows up. I'm all the messages and the phone, everything I'm missing is coming through. And that I mentioned it's sunny, hot, and 84 degrees. I think to myself, why am I still here? I mean, this day ended for me a long time ago, but uh, I tell Bill, uh, whatever's in the air today, Bill, I'm going to go. I'm packing up. I'm going to head out. A couple trips to the car, and in my mind too, I was thinking if this show wasn't that great, I would head out early, but I didn't want it to be a big deal. I didn't want to bring my card in and all my stuff. That's why I went very light. So if I decided I wanted to slip out, I could just take my case and my Zion box and, head out, and, Bill could just take the table. It's not, the table wasn't going to be left empty. So I had no cart, so I have to make a couple trips back and forth. I made one trip. I came back. I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to split this up. I'll make two trips. I just on my way out with the second trip, and the fire alarm starts going off in the building. I'm like, all right, but it was so hot in there. It was probably from the heat. Um, so I go to the car the second time. I put stuff in, and I head back into the building, and in another part of that building on the other side, they were having I think it was a dance recital or a dance competition. So I went and I grabbed the other stuff. I hurried back in to grab my other stuff. And of course, nobody in the at the card show. That alarm is going off. Nobody, business as usual. No, not one person walked out there, just, looking and buying and selling everything, right? But as I go out the second time, I see the sea of kids coming out in these dance costumes, just filling up the whole parking lot. They're all coming out from the other side of the building because, yeah, the smoke alarm's going off and you should get out of the building. Right? Uh, Not going anywhere for a while. That parking lot was full of kids. Not one car was going to be able to move in that parking lot. Come on, man. Now it's hot and sunny and 84 degrees. And I'm just sitting there in the car waiting for the crowd to clear so I could back out to get on the road to drive home. Um, and all I kept saying to myself, tomorrow is another day. Show tomorrow. Uh, it's going to be so good that'll make up for anything that happened today. Um, and by now, that didn't happen. A couple good things that did happen. I didn't have to unpack the car for the next show today. I just left the car packed. And sometime after dinner, Amazon delivered my package with the part I needed for the microphones to connect to my iPad. So super excited. I get to, test that out the next morning. Um, Two other pickups I had from that show was this Xavier Worthy Rookie Kings and a Caleb Williams Silver Prism PSA 9. Just holding those up there for you. Yeah, not a lot of big buying for me at that show. 3 cards. I did get home. One good thing that did happen Saturday. So a package was delivered that I thought was lost. It was coming from Topps. I ordered the March Madness set, the Bowman U now March Madness. There was a set, I think it was like 12 or 13 cards, it was Harris Strong, Juju Watkins, Cooper Flagg, all the players that played in the NCAA tournament, top players. And I ordered 3 of them. And you could get a hit card in them. You could get an auto or a numbered card or things like that. So usually on the Topps thing, when you open it up, it'll say, lucky hit or something on that, which that's happened to me before. I opened up the paperwork and it didn't say anything on it. I was like, oh, I said, well, I should just open up the set anyway, just see what the cards look like and see if I want to grade any of these. So I opened up the first set and I'm going through and the Juju Watkins was right at the very beginning. And as I'm going through at the end, I'm like, why is there another Juju Watkins here? And I pulled it out. And of course it's this red auto numbered to 10. So that was a huge win on the day for me to, of all people, to get the Juju Watkins auto. So I was super excited about that. Then, of course, I quickly opened up the other 2, hoping for more. But this was the only hit I had in there. But that's all I needed. That was for me, it's a massive hit. Super excited about that. Sunday morning, heading to the New Britain show. I get there, load up my cart. Now I'm bringing everything in, my singles and everything. I roll in the door, and I've been at the same table at this show for months. My usual spot. I walk in, and somebody else is set up at my spot. I didn't see the promoter around, and the guy who is set up at my table is like, "Oh yeah, you're further down." I'm like, hit it, kid, down the end. Down by the bathroom. And I was setting up with Rich, Whittlebug cards, and poor Rich is on to my right. So he gets forced right in front of the bathroom. And I'll start by saying most new people who show up at the show, they get put in front of that bathroom. I've noticed that. So when there's a one-off, when there's somebody new setting up, they're usually beyond on our wall, beyond Rich, right in front of the bathroom. And you can probably understand why, the smell that comes out of there all day long. And I've been setting up at this show for a while. And it's a once a month show. And anytime that I've missed a show and I've come back, somebody else has been at my table. And I've been moved a little bit, but then, 1 or 2 times in a row, get put back into your spot, and I've seen other promoters do this too. They do this because they want you to be consistent. They don't want you missing shows. And if you miss a show, it's kind of like penalizing you. I'm not saying every promoter. I'm just saying I've seen this happen. It's happened to me at some shows, and I've seen it happen to other people. And the next person up, they get your table. And this promoter's done this to me twice. I've accepted this because maybe I missed a month, or maybe I missed a show. And I've accepted this little unwritten rule. right? But I haven't missed a show. I've been there faithfully every month. Um, and I got moved, and somebody got put. This person that took my usually sets up on the other side, uh, and I got moved to make room for another dealer who doesn't usually set up at a Sunday that they put right at the front door. And they took this guy and they moved him down. Um, put him in a new guy in a prime location too, right? And before the show starts, they move us all down even further to put another person into the prime location. Added another table. Everybody, move down more. Really? If you've been listening to this podcast since the early days, you know I used to set up faithfully at a show um, that I never missed. And I had a very good location at the show. That's why I never missed. I would miss things going on in my life because the show was a great show and I did not want to lose my position at this show. And I felt I was always being rewarded because I never missed a show. And then one day I showed up at this show, and you're probably not going to believe this, but the person who was set up at my table this morning when I got there, the same dealer was set up at my table at this person's show in another state a couple of years ago. And I said, "What happened? How did I lose my spot?" And they said, "Oh, we moved you down a little. We had to rearrange things." Okay, but how did I lose my spot? What did I do to deserve? I never missed a show. Why did this guy who's never set up at the show before come and set up here? So you talk about some PTSD. When I show up this morning, I know this dealer, and I show up this morning and I see this guy at my table, and I'm thinking, yep, here it is. It's like that other show all over again. And I'm not going to point out the other show because I'm going to talk about them a little bit more. And you want to go back in earlier seasons, you'll know what show I was talking about. I'll tell you what, I never went back to that show. I never set up at that show again because I had no respect for the promoter. And I watched over 2 years, I watched that show fall apart because that promoter not only did that to me, but did that to a lot of other people who felt as poorly as I did and felt exactly like I did then and like I did this morning, and just stopped going and stopped supporting. I'm like, bro, you can't take care of me. I can't take care of you. I cannot support that. I cannot support you and these actions. And if this promoter keeps that up, I think the same thing will happen. Nobody likes to be disrespected. I don't care how good you think your show is. You disrespect people are just going to stop coming. They won't come. Especially someone like me who's been supporting that show since day one, since he started that show. I supported this show as I supported the other promoter at that other show from day one. But all of a sudden, the show seems to get bigger and they seem to forget the people who got them to where they were. And I'm not saying I got but people like me who are there to support you, are there to, get people to come in and tell people this is a great show and stuff like that. Yeah, you're on your own. That's fine. And even I'll tell you what, I won't even I'm going to stop there. But it's the way I feel. I'm done with that show, and I move on. I move on. Maybe PTSD because this is the second time this happened to me, but I'm going to treat this show exactly as I treated the other show. So to this show today, decent foot traffic. And I think today, like a lot of times at this show, it's Pokemon that's driving most of the foot traffic into this show. It's a lot of people. I mean, Pokemon is so popular right now. A lot of people coming for the Pokemon. I did have my singles boxes out at this show, which always does well. I know we're in kind of a football dead zone, but again, today, just like yesterday, a lot of really lowball offers on cards. People are thinking, hey, I'm going to make the offer. If I can get it, it's a win. If it's a no, it's no big deal, but it doesn't hurt to ask. So, I mean, I kind of understand that too, but my new positioning in this show today, where I was set up, really deterred from buying cards. I mean, cards never really made it down to where I was to really look at anything or buy any cards. But I did walk the show in the morning. I mentioned earlier I found a card that I wanted. I made a strong offer on a nice Caitlin Clark card, numbered. And when I made the offer, it came with a hard no, with a look like I just offered 50% on a card. And again, I offered strong on the card. 3 sales on the card. One was just over 400, and two in the 300s. I made a solid offer on the card, and it came with a hard no. And Bill and Billy showed up to the show. Yeah, probably mid-morning. Came over and talked to me. How's the show? Did you walk around? Yeah. I said I tried to buy this Caitlin Clark card from this guy that he didn't accept my offer. And he said, where was it? I go, let's see if I can go get it from him. He walked over. He made the same offer I made. Came walking back with the card in his hand 10 minutes later. Now, that could have been too that now we're at mid-morning and maybe this is a card that he thought he was going to sell easily, and maybe he was getting offers, lower than what I offered. Maybe he thought he should have taken it. Maybe if I would have walked back mid-morning, he would have taken it. But yeah, he sold it to him for the same price that I offered him first thing in the morning. And I'll share that card because this is just a great card. It is the orange fractal Caitlin Clark, holding that up there, numbered to 75, the Prison Fractal. So I hope to, hopefully it'll be gradable. I will check that one out. But it's just crazy how things work out that way with deals, and I know as a dealer, sometimes depending on the person that I'm dealing with, and there's no rhyme or reason that I'll give a better deal to one and not another. And I don't know the psychology of that, but I know it's there because I know I do it. I know other people do it. I've seen it happen. And I've asked people too. I'd be like, hey, I know that other guy offered you that much on the card, and then this person, you end up selling it for that. And then it's like, oh, I like that person, or I know that person, or I wanted to give that person a better. Okay, understandable. But I know there's a psychology to it. Why we give, even if we don't know people, why we give certain people deals or better deals than other. This show was 9 to 2. By 1 o'clock, the show slowed down to a crawl. So I packed up, went home, right? Get this podcast out early today and try to salvage what's left of Sunday. Next weekend's holiday weekend. I do not have any shows planned, but I do have some exciting news. I will be a guest on Sports Cards Live on Saturday night. It is on YouTube Live, East Coast. It will start at 10. So if you're around, you're available, check it out. Sports Cards Live. And I will be back Thursday with the Hobby Chop. I'm pretty sure Tyler will be back from his trip, and you should have the trio again on Thursday. I want to thank everyone for tuning in. And if you like what you hear, please definitely subscribe. And most importantly, tell a friend and spread the word. Until next time, take care of yourselves and everyone around you.